today?
I'm good. You?
I'm great. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, really, today's show is about social media and its direct correlation to mental health.
All right. I'm Mahogany,
I'm Ish.
and this is Culture Currency.
For culture.
Is the value.
So this one, I feel like this one is just really a roll off. Like we all experienced it, we see it. So this is a really, I think, really relatable topic, and the impact that it doesn't just have on young people, but adults as well. So really everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that this is a conversation that actually everybody could be a part of.
Yep. One of the biggest ones is the distraction and sleep disruption, where we're not taking care of our own business because we all in everybody else's business.
Everybody else.
You know what I mean? And
wow.
So I've literally seen people that I know is supposed to be doing promotions or doing whatever they're supposed to do for their
It's
business,
sidetracked.
and literally online for a while long, not even doing what they're supposed to be doing, so promoting their thing. They looking at everybody else's thing. You know what I mean? But that's what it is, though, that constant struggle. If you don't really have the discipline, forget motivation, because sometimes that wavers. If you don't have the discipline to really stay course on what you're doing, social media is bad for you.
I'm happy you said that because that's exactly what I wrote down. Discipline and balance is super important when it comes down to this topic. Like, I remember fighting it for many years. Like, I'm on social media, obviously. But I've been on social media for years, but I wasn't active like that.
Right.
It's like, all right, that's there.
Right.
Right. And I would push back on, like, everybody's like, yo, you have to, because you do business.
Right. Yep.
So you have to. And I'm like, nah, I'm not letting that take over my life. Like, I have a real life.
Right.
People who are on there constantly, they ain't living.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was pushing back, and then I remember I want to say 2018, I'm like, I really need to push more and get my business out there on the next level. So I decided, I'm like, all right, I just need to make sure that I keep the balance and the discipline intact. And I did so. Right. I did so. And I seen the difference. So I do understand the positive aspects of it when you're trying to reach a large amount of people with something and all of those things. I would just go on social media detoxes. But the problem with going on social media detoxes is you have to start all over when you come back. Because the people do not stay like that. Right. Like, you'll keep certain people, but they drop off. So
it keeps you locked in.
It keeps you in a space where you feel like this is something that I have to do. I have to make this a part of my life. And if you don't have the discipline to navigate that, it gets in the way of relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic, I'm talking about relationships, period. Like, actually spending time. Being
like
present.
That real connection.
Being present. Being able to put your phone away and, like, have these moments. It's a little wild.
I want to talk about that as well, too. And I think that's maybe one of the things we should talk about at the end on what to do and being intentional. So a lot of times you can't get off because, like you said, it disrupts the algorithms, and then you lose followers and supporters and all of that kind of stuff, which is very true. And if you're trying to promote something, a business, which is livelihood and all of that kind of stuff, is like you're forced to be locked in. But then also a lot of folks are just on because it's like the fear of missing out. You know what I mean? And I feel with that is, I don't really feel like you're missing anything, like, because we have to remember that we're looking at highlight reels, curated portrayals online.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a show. Everyone's putting on a show. So if you feel like, I missed this event, or I missed this thing, or I should have been there, I shouldn't have been there. No, if you couldn't afford it, no, you shouldn't have been. Send your rent money in, and good thing you didn't go.
That's where discipline comes in. That
exactly.
mindset. I don't feel like if I couldn't get something, I wasn't supposed to have it.
Right.
If I couldn't be somewhere, I wasn't supposed to
go.
And I truly believe that, so I never feel like I'm missing out.
But that's a great headspace to be in. Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. My mother, she still drills that in me. I haven't played numbers in a while. I actually haven't gone on the website in a minute. Wow. But anyway, whenever I miss a number, she'd be like, it wasn't for you to get. I'm like, wow, how was I supposed to get if it was my birthday streak? You know what I'm saying? But she's like, if you miss it, it wasn't for yours to get.
If you really believe, if you really believe that what's yours is yours, then you don't miss anything.
Then you don't miss anything.
Right? And I truly believe that. I believe that everything that's supposed to be mine comes when it's supposed to come.
And period.
So I never feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Right.
I actually feel like if something passed that I did not receive, or something happened that I wasn't at, and not only was it not for me, but it probably protected me from something.
Exactly.
I truly believe.
I agree. And
that helps me be comfortable in that space.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good to actually take it to all areas. That's really good. Addictive behavior, like the compulsive checking. Like a lot of times after we post stuff and we keep going on to see who liked it, to see the comments and to see the reactions, and but that's one of the compulsive behaviors. But also, what about folks who's talking to one person and they post something like, because people, or you're posting pictures to be like, because you want your ex to be like.
I'm happy you said that, because what it did for me, it sparked the conversation we had before about music. People say, oh, music is creating this, and I say, no, music is revealing where we are as a people. Social media is revealing who we are as individuals, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
When you start that subliminal posting, and you start putting everybody under the same umbrella, it says a lot about where you are mentally, spiritually, all of that.
Absolutely.
And within yourself. So I wouldn't say that social media is creating that,
right.
But I will say that social media is revealing people to the rest of the world.
Yup, and I said those two things. I think I didn't say that today, but in my thoughts I was thinking the things that social media has done is, for one, it either reveal people or develop different personalities with them. That's like, who are you and why you're doing this? Because now everything is centered around social media. The other day somebody was talking. I can't remember if they were talking to me or if I overheard something. I can't remember, but I remember the conversation. How about this? Where folks center their biggest moments around social media.
Yeah, that's
well, for my birthday, I'm gonna just go to a nice restaurant and take pictures, and it's only because for social media. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I want to go to this restaurant with this ambiance, and I want to take a bunch of pictures for social media, and your whole celebration is centered around how people are going to take it for social media.
And the messed up part about that, the flip side, is that if it doesn't get the response that you desire,
right,
it feels like you ain't do nothing.
Right, because you want to be a party promoter all of a sudden, instead of just,
you feel like you lacking. Like you could be surrounded by all of your loved ones, having enjoyable conversation, enjoyable moments, just creating a moment, and all of a sudden it doesn't have the value because nobody else sees the value.
Right.
It's
It's wow, exactly. And then so what it has done is really change how we value special moments in our lives, or how we value just instances within our real life. It's changed the value for a lot of people. That's really good.
It goes back to our regular conversation when I say, we say inward to outward, right? When there's a bunch of people who have yet to self-actualize, who have yet to do the work to really heal the wounds that they carry around, there's a huge part of those people who need the assurance and the approval of others, right? And that's a very dangerous space to be in when you're not just around people who care for you, but people who don't know you from a hole in the wall. Right. Some people who don't care for you at all, don't like you. Right. Putting yourself in that position, in the center of that, when you already have these inconsistencies within, is a very dangerous place to be.
It is. And then that's where we get to the whole anxiety and depression, piece of it, where it can make you feel inadequate. It can make you feel lonely. It can induce anxiety because you already aren't solid, and then you're opening yourself up to so many people's opinions before you develop a solid, positive one on your own.
Because opinions versus facts. Like we did a whole show on labels, right? And when you know who you are, when you actually have the labels that belong to you, you can solidify yourself within that. Because people gonna say what they're gonna say, right? At the end of the day, people are gonna have their opinions of you, but their opinions of you do not dictate who you believe you are unless you're not solid in who you are. Right. So going back to that, it's like putting yourself in a situation where people are going to have opinions and you don't completely know who you are yet. This is why there's such a high level of like depression, or just self-esteem deficiencies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just a lot of things that's happening, and we like to focus on the children that are having these moments. But this is all across the board.
Exactly.
Adults are going through this too. They're just not as open about it.
Yeah. When they feel that their identities won't be revealed, and maybe you won't lose your job, or people won't really know who you are, people can be really cruel, you know, online. And I would like to talk about those people as well. You know what I mean?
You know, those people are the same people we're talking about. If you keep it a buck, right? You have people who have inconsistencies within, who are dealing with it in different ways. So some are getting in front of the camera and hoping for that, you know,
support.
That support. And then there's those who find their perceived happy place by making others feel less than,
right,
to make themselves feel better,
right.
And so it's the same thing. It's people who have these inconsistencies within, who don't want to do the work, but rather take the time to kind of go outward.
Right. I mean, it's definitely some stuff we see online where it's like, are you serious? But I'm not going to go and leave that comment there.
That part. That's the
Why?
part. That's the part. Me and my daughter had a conversation yesterday. And you know, my grandson is on the spectrum, and so we followed this mother and her children on TikTok, who her young man is on the spectrum as well, and we're watching this young man grow up, right? But she posted the other day responding to comments about her son on social media. He has a page. She makes sure that on the intro it says he's on the spectrum, and so if this is not your type of stuff, just scroll past.
Right.
But don't leave, you know, hateful stuff.
Right.
Somebody decided that he must be on the spectrum because she's not feeding him right. And so they start commenting about how he's eating. And he's a 19-year-old boy. I didn't recognize, we was laughing because I didn't recognize he was 19.
That was him, yeah.
No, I knew it was him. I didn't know he was 19. He seems like a younger teenager.
Okay, got it.
Maybe like 16, 17.
Okay, got it.
But he's 19. And she helps him through everything, like helps him to like navigate life so he could be able to be okay without her.
Right.
Long story short, people started leaving messages about how he eats. And so she had to clap back. And my first response to my daughter was like, even if I thought it, at what point would I feel like, oh, I gotta go to the comment section,
right, and say this, right?
It's weird.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Like, why do you want to spark this kind of discussion?
I've seen videos of parents with children feeding them crazy stuff, and I'm like, they shouldn't be eating it. But if I don't know you personally,
right,
if I'm not in your world,
right,
all I know is what you're posting,
right.
So who knows what you eat in 98% of the time?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So this could be the 2%,
right,
that I'm seeing.
Exactly. And it's usually
and
the 2%.
And the fact that people don't think like that, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one thing I was just really thinking about, and like really like want to just dig through, how do we get out of that? Even before social media, we had television, right? And we had magazines. So television are made of families and stories and idealist things. And it's like, oh, I want to be like that. I wish my family was like this. We were talking about a different world. We wanted to go to Hillman. Hillman doesn't exist. So we had these other media outlets. And now we have social media. And it really does make you say, oh, am I supposed to do that? Or I wish I could do that. Or I wish I had. It does this thing, but that's media, period. And that's the influences of it. So it's really important because you do get caught up in these false facades and you want your life to mimic certain things. And it's been like that since the days of television.
It's beautiful for things to spark your imagination.
Yes,
right?
I like that.
And open you up to all these different possibilities.
Yes.
So
and
it's that part should definitely not be demonized. That's not something that should be taken away. It goes back to what we said at the beginning, the discipline, the understanding and the self-analysis, right? Everybody has different responses to things according to who they are and how they
where they currently are mentally.
And emotionally, right? So we can we can take in the same information but have a different response to it according to what we desire and need within, right?
Yeah.
So having this imagination and things sparking that imagination and giving you all of these things to probably look forward to, want to do, you know, aspire to, that's a beautiful part of it.
Right.
The part that is unhealthy is the part when you start to have that side, your imagination, take over your
actual
reality.
life. Yeah.
Right? That's why I always say virtual reality versus reality. I live in reality.
Right.
There's a lot of people living in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Virtual is not real.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you start allowing your virtual to take over your reality, that's where the issue comes in.
And thank you for that, because the issue comes in there because then you start making your decisions again. You start making your decisions according to whatever image that you've created online. And if you notice that people are buying into it, then you like, oh, I got to do more of it because it's a dopamine. It's like dopamine, right? It gives that same kind of high that drugs does. So now you want the same the effect again. You want that high again. You want that high again, and you really you start chasing something, and you really start living your life according to that. The things that you buy, the places that you go, everything.
It's taking you further away from yourself.
It's taking you further away from yourself and your goals, where you can really be going into the hole, going into the red in real life. But as long as you look like you have it together online, you're good with that. But at home, you're a fucking wreck.
That goes back to when we spoke about the relationships, right?
Yep.
So I keep saying we need to make sure that we know who we are solid in who we are before we connect. I understand that sounds crazy because we have urges prior to that. However, if you want the healthy outcome, that's what's necessary, right? And I feel like that's the same spillover in social media, right? The reason why they say, oh, children of certain age shouldn't be on,
right,
is because they understand what it does mentally and emotionally to you, right? But children sneak on. Some parents just don't mind their children getting on, and then they're in this cycle of chasing a fake persona, versus who they actually are, and because they didn't have an opportunity to figure out who they are,
all.
Some of these adults have absolutely no idea of who they are, so you're now in the mix of something that's kind of telling you who you are, telling you
what
that these are the things to be, and now you are chasing that versus trying to figure out who was I meant to be, who was I created to be.
Exactly. Thank you for that, because one thing that young people don't understand is algorithm. Right? So the more of what you're already searching and what you already have there, you're going to get more of it. Right? So they're not really thinking of, oh, I really want to feel this way, so let me research this, or I want to change the algorithm, I want to change what's coming down my feed, so I have to do these things. You know what I mean? So if we know how social media can distract us, if we know how social media can take us off our own course, if it can start changing our behaviors or revealing, who we really are in the most unhealthy ways, what do you think is doing to your kids?
I like TikTok, right? And I like TikTok for the reason that you're speaking of, right? It gives you more of what you are intrigued by. I know how to change the algorithm.
Right.
I paid attention enough to know how it works.
Yep.
So when I need laughter, I purposely check out and respond to comedy. Because then it starts to feed me comedy, and it helps me to do what needs to be done to level me out. Right. The difference between that site and I will say a lot about it is changing now that the U.S. has gotten involved. However, what I realized was how much Facebook and Instagram is not feeding you what you want, but what they want you to want. So the reason why none of those platforms ever got me in the ways that it got other people is because I pay attention to stuff like that. TikTok got me because it's like, it's not telling me what to do. I'm telling it what to do, and it's just giving you what I want.
What you want.
Whereas I'm a very rebellious personality. Anytime I know that something or someone is telling me what to do, I do the opposite. So Instagram wasn't able to capture me like that. Facebook wasn't able to capture me like that because I could tell you were trying to sell me what you wanted me to have versus this thing. So within that space, although I'm saying something positive about what I like about TikTok, I'm also trying to reveal how actually dangerous this thing can be. Because once they see, okay, this is a loophole, we create a different kind of algorithm that's going to get the people that this one didn't get.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so
and
if you're not paying attention, if you're not being disciplined, you will not even know that you caught until it's too late.
Exactly. And you know, I'm so happy you brought this up, because I did want to speak about the differences on the different platforms. We have to make sure that all the information that we're being fed online, you're not just taking it because you heard it. Look at it as a rumor. You know what I mean? You have to dig deeper, and you have to do your own research to fix, so you can either develop your own opinion or find the facts of it. Just because someone said it doesn't mean it is the truth. You know what I mean?
That's why majority of my conversation comes by way of me speaking of life experience and what I've gotten from that, because that can't be disputed.
That can't be disputed, and that's what we're talking about here.
And what I realize is that there's so many levels to that, right? We got your average person putting out information. You also have entities putting out information that's false, misleading for their own purposes. Everybody has an agenda at this point, whether little people, big people, entities. Everybody has an agenda. So you never really know what's true or what's not. There's not even a lot left when it comes down to actual tangible information for you to be able to fact check in the ways that we would need to in order to know if something's real. So I take everything with a grain of salt, and I just pay attention to patterns. I pay attention to what data I got from my life experience and different things like that. I think that everyone should just question everything.
Question everything. There's still history and there's still facts out there, so we can get to factual information. But the fact that that folks do have an agenda, you know what I mean? They're trying to sell something, they're trying to do something, they're trying to push something, that it's really hard to sort through information. But in taking your time, I would still say do research. You gotta try to figure it out. You can't be like, oh, this is good.
Don't just take everything for face value.
You can't take everything for face value. And you know what? What social media has done is made many people believe that you can skip the journey, that you could go from the start point to the end point in 3 months.
And skip the middle.
Because the middle is not there. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, I compare it to writing a grant. When I have to write a grant and say, oh, you gave me this grant money and this is what we did, they want to know the highlights. But everything that I had to do to make sure that I could write this report, with my staff and all of the
research, you didn't know like the meetings I had to take, you didn't know the people I had to reach out to,
and the grind and the staff and the fire and the hire in order to get to these reports. But you don't want to know all of that. That's what social media has done. It's made us feel like the journey is this short.
We only want to deal with what feels good.
We
only want to deal with what feels good. So there are people out there who are telling other stories. They're telling the negative, but those are the people we clown. Why are you on here crying? Why are you doing that publicly? You don't mind me showing you how to do shiny stuff. But as soon as it start looking ugly, this is not the place for that. This is not, you know what I mean?
That is true.
So
that is true.
It's catering to exactly what.
Because I've definitely had those responses.
Me too.
I've had those responses like, why are you doing this here? Because these are all not your peoples. And this is not your diary. This is not your journal.
And that's what I was about to say. I feel the same way about the people who are putting, even if it's fake, money slips on there. When I see people with large amounts of money and they putting their money bags on, it's like, why are you doing it?
That's mad.
The way that I see it is dangerous. Those are things you keep to yourself. So although I do have that reaction when people are crying in front of the screen, I do have the same, because I understand the danger. We're talking about the dangers.
And it feels I don't know, a little weird that you.
It just feels it feels like, why are you doing this?
Why?
Right? Why? It like I said, it reveals stuff to me. So when people are doing certain things, it's like, it's a revelation for me.
Because the thing is, you recorded the video, you watched the cry, you said, okay, this is good, and then you wrote a caption. No, you wrote a caption to go with it, and it had to match. And or sometimes if you want a song to go with, it's like
you did a lot.
You did a lot
to share that cry.
You did a lot to share that cry. So it's not about the cry; it's about the folks that you're speaking to, and many people that you may not have those connections to. And if it is, I'm sure you could have sent them a text message and asked them to give you a call when they had a minute.
If you had all that time to make all those steps,
yeah,
you could have reached out to someone to help you.
Yeah, and then what you said, the dangerous part of it are the people who are not empathetic, who could care less about your feelings, and then may start doing those things.
Because
you know
those people are also
Yeah.
having the response that we're talking about.
Exactly.
They're saying, if you had the time to do this, that, and this, ain't nothing really wrong with you. I can say what I want.
Right.
Because people who are really in dire need are not pressing send.
Right. Or the
They're not
people that
pressing-
screen record and send it to everybody else, like, do you see what this one got on there? And then,
You know what I'm
saying? All of that. But hold up. Are we double talking and saying, yes, so online show your most healthy self? Or we're talking about that balance?
I'm saying that before you start getting online and sharing anything that has to do with your real world,
Take care of your real world.
and your real world will create the picture that you desire to place on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
How about the dangers in privacy when it comes down to these entities having all of this information
Right.
on us?
Yeah, that's right. Because everything that we're putting out there is being recorded and is being tracked.
Logged.
And the agreements that we make during these social media platforms, when they own all the likenesses that we share, you know what I mean? So it's just important just to be mindful of what we're sharing.
The crazy thing is, we always speak about, one of my biggest beliefs is choice, right? Having choice, like
Right.
freedom.
Right.
I can't sell that.
Right.
And then you think about it, and if you're interacting with these social media accounts, you're actually signing off your freedom.
You're actually signing off your freedoms, yeah. Another huge point that really stands out to me that's in alignment with that is what, like you said, we're giving up our freedoms, right? And then also everything that we post is being recorded, and it can be used against you, actually, in a court of law. So I'm not just thinking about folks who are living illegal lives and stuff like that, but I am. It's a large part of our community, to be
Just
honest
period.
with you. And just period, just period though,
You know
because
what I mean?
these things live. So you have to really be conscious about how you present yourself and what you're putting out there, because it lasts forever. These are the reels for a lifetime. They can live people. All anyone has to do is screen record and keep it.
This takes us back to our cancel culture episode. Because when you think about it, you could be doing things that you don't see anything wrong with.
Right.
But times change.
Right.
Today, many people are not able to use the verbiage and different things that they were once able to use without, ridicule.
Yep.
Without being canceled, without being some type of kickback. Right?
Absolutely.
And so 10 years ago, what was okay might not be okay today. Right?
Yep.
So when you think about it from that standpoint, what you're saying, these things live forever, and times change, and the ideologies that people have change.
That's right.
And so what you say today that's cool may not be cool then.
It may not be
then
cool.
what?
And then what? One thing we always say is, like, whoever you are and you deem yourself to be, you have to stand firm in that and be able to back yourself up in the event when times change. So make sure that the way that you're presenting yourself is the way where you can stand firm on that, you're proud of yourself, and you're okay with the message and the persona that you're portraying online. Is really important that you can stand firm to that, because these really last forever. Whether you delete it or not, it's still around. Somebody got it.
And or be solid enough to understand that you are human and you can grow. And whether people don't want to give you any leniency for growth, you give yourself that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to stand on what I say today, tomorrow, or the next day. And if I change my belief system, if a new belief system comes about, I'm going to be able to say, I have a different understanding now.
Right.
But you ain't going to ridicule me for what I did yesterday. That's what I believed yesterday.
That's what I believe.
I don't believe it no more.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. But still, just don't be ragging.
Don't be ragging.
Yeah.
We're giving them all of this information on, how these things are affecting us as people, the negatives, positives, but how should they move along after having this information?
How I see it is something that we all can do is really be intentional about basically what we're just saying about how we're presenting ourselves, or the ways that we're allowing the social media space to have an impact on us. So we talked about algorithms earlier. So reducing the power of the algorithm, right? Where you can reduce searches that cause anxiety in you. You know what I mean? Don't search those things. If you're feeling depressed, don't be like, advice on how to get my man not to leave, or you know what I'm saying? No, for real. Like, you start looking up stuff that's already feeding into the nonsense and the issues that you're already having. So follow accounts that make you feel good. Unfollow accounts that increase those bad feelings.
And that includes people you know what I mean? Know.
Right.
Because I ain't gonna lie. Like, I try not to mess up people's numbers, but often if you're not seeing me interact with your stuff and I know you personally, it's either because I'm not on often, or because what you're putting out there is not something that I can support.
Right. And then for me personally, if there's times when I'm not following back, it's really because as the executive director of a nonprofit organization, there's certain things that I should not even be associated with. So if it's a bad look and it doesn't go along with everything that I'm doing in my world, I can't be associated.
Yeah, I'm like that even with my likes. Yeah. Like,
as well as
my
that.
likes. I don't like stuff that I don't agree with. And yeah, I can know you and I can see it, but my like means something.
I want to ask about that because we always try to wrap up and then something else comes up. But I've been struggling with this, with the whole like thing. So say there's a video of, say News 12 is telling us something that happened, in New York or whatever, but it's tragic. I don't want to like that. I don't want to like the tragedy. So does the like mean I like that video? Because I get confused about the likes when it's those kind of things. When it's like serious and I'm like, oh, like that. It's like
the message.
I don't like that.
It's the message that you're liking or not.
No,
liking.
but I don't like the message.
Not,
the message is horrific.
No, there's horrific videos that are placed with a message, so they could be saying, oh, do something different.
No, I'm not
what is
talking
his
about
name?
those.
Okay.
Just a report.
Don't like
You know
it.
what I'm saying? Like thousands of likes, but what are y'all liking?
Yeah.
Y'all like that car accident?
But at this point, likes and all of that is habitual. So I even caught myself liking stuff and be like, I take my like back.
Right.
I didn't mean to like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's habitual because you're going down and especially if you follow a lot of people that you know.
Yeah, so it's like
you're trying to support them.
Support.
And it's people that, like I just finished saying, I'm not going to do that. But there's times I had to take likes back because I was just double tapping because I know them. And then I said, hold on, let me go check what I just liked.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't support this.
Yeah.
You're taking that back.
You got to watch it all the way through.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
You got to be careful.
And another thing, you got to be careful because the new thing where it shows your face and your heart, it's showing what you just liked. So it's like all of that. So you got to be intentional about how you interact
Ain't no
online.
secrets.
It's no secrets.
Ain't
And
no
they're making
secrets.
sure of that. They're making sure of that.
Secrets.
There's no secrets.
It's crazy because that just brought me back to real life situations, right? My cousin, who I hadn't seen in years, I got in contact with him because of his sister. His sister and him fell out. He's not around the family. And I found him and was like, oh. Now, the rumor around the family was that he's off.
Okay.
We have a lot of mental illness in our family. So we just wanted to keep an eye on him, make sure he was okay out there. Even though he's not dealing with me.
Right.
So when we was working at the Cove, I got in contact with him. I was happy. I told his sister, like, yo, I'm going to keep in contact with him, keep an eye on him. He was doing music. He said he wanted to do music with me. And he sent me his music video to my phone and was like, yo, sent it with the message. Send this to all your people. This is my latest music video. And for 2 seconds, I almost just pressed send.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just on the strength of my cousin got something going on and I wanted to support it. And then, like, right after that 2 second, I said, no, let me look.
What?
Yo, if I would have sent this video, I would have finished myself. I'm not gonna say what was in the video. What I will say is it was extremely explicit, super inappropriate for him to send to anybody, especially his cousin, right? And I was like, why would he send me this? Why would he tell me to send this to everybody in my phone? I was like, they say he was mentally ill.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Right.
Right? So, long story short, that goes back to
good point.
Everything we speaking, right?
Yes.
We're talking about a bunch of people who are not self-actualized, who have these deficiencies that they have yet to discover or understand, right? So there's activity happening that comes from a place of illness.
Yes. And I gotta say,
and we have to remember this as we're interacting and as we're sharing, because I forgot for a second that I was dealing with illness. Until illness was at my doorstep and reminded me that, oh my God, you have to be the same one.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so
thanks for saying
over
that
to the social media space.
That's all the social media space, because we don't know who we're dealing with. So when you're getting this advice, sometimes there can be people that are intentionally putting out bad information, intentionally just saying anything like, yo, they're gonna eat this up. Look, my body look good, so I'm gonna say do this. Why? Everybody gonna be good.
Oh, people do that now.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, people do that.
I was on YouTube because I'm always trying to look out, different workout things and just being interested in martial arts, just always doing that, right? And I'm watching a video, a short one day, and this guy was like, he said, yeah, you gotta do calisthenics and da-da-da-da. He said, but I don't eat before I work out. You know I do. I smoke a blunt. I said, and then started to, I say, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Pay attention to who you're looking at. It's a lot of people out here just doing things for clickbait.
Yeah, for clickbait.
And if you don't know the difference, or you're just in a space where you need something to follow, you could be addicted.
Right, because one thing you got to remember is that if you want to believe something, you're gonna find you can always find evidence for what you want to believe, and whether it's true or not. Like wherever your headspace is, you're gonna find something to match.
Yo, that was a bar. I think we can end on that. That was a bar. You will find whatever you're looking for.
You're gonna find what you're looking for. That's a super fact. Yeah.
All right. That was a dope discussion.
Yeah.
I'm Mahogany.
I'm Ish.
And this is Culture Currency.
Where culture
is the value.
Make sure to like, subscribe,
share, and comment.
We appreciate you.